Hi there, and welcome back to the Rangers News YouTube channel with Jordan and Cammy.
How you doing?
And it's positivity. Heading into Thursday night's huge last 16 Europa League first leg tie against Bayer Leverkusen at Ibrox. So obviously there's been shocking developments on the domestic front, and there's been a real struggle, and that has obviously taken away from it to some extent, but it's a major achievement that Rangers have got to this stage of the competition with some big names left in it. Leverkusen, arguably the form team in Germany, have been absolutely flying since the winter break and won 4-0 at the weekend against Eintracht Frankfurt, a team who are actually also in the last 16. Completely dominated them. I think the first 4 goals were in the first 15 minutes. So the game was done and dusted. They could take players off after that. So how are you feeling going into this one?
I've heard what Rangers are going to show up, I think, is a question. But, I mean, Ibrox, 50,000 people, Europa League night, it's going to be buzzing. And the players showed that they could respond to that amid this dire form against Braga. So, optimistic. I've got to be optimistic. You know what I mean? If we've got any chance of going through, we need to get a result here. I don't think Bayer Leverkusen will be complacent. I think that they will be ruthless. I think they'll show up with that intention. I think the Rangers have it in them. But everybody has to max out. That's one of Stephen Gerrard's favourite terms from earlier on in the season, but it's true. I think that if this Rangers team put in a performance at the level of which we've seen them do it, not just this season but last as well, if we can put in that level of performance, we give ourselves a fighting chance. But the question is, can we? I think that the fans will. Yeah. And I think that it's up to the players to respond. Be a very good game, and what a buzz it is. It's the first time we've been here since 2011. It's the first time a Scottish team's been here in 2011, so all eyes will be on Rangers, and let's hope we can get a positive result.
Yeah, I think obviously the Braga game, for the first 60 minutes of that tie, they turned up and showed that they were an excellent footballing side, stroked it about lovely, and obviously they, in a similar way, were in fantastic vein of form going into the game. We're going to have that with Leverkusen as well, but obviously from a much more esteemed league in the Bundesliga, which they're doing really well, and I think they've beaten Bayern and Dortmund.
Yep. I watched the Dortmund 4-3 match. I know they were very, very impressive.
I think that's the sort of general thought, though, that they are very, very strong going forward. Which in Braga, a Goldson and Edmondson partnership, which has struggled at times, as all the sort of defensive partnerships have struggled, showed that they can repel quality players in that game. The only real chances they conceded were headers and stuff like that from set pieces, especially in the away game. Only in the away game that they had plenty of chances at Ibrox, but it's about probably putting pressure at the other end of the pitch, I think, on Leverkusen. As we were talking about, before we recorded this, about some serious injury problems in their ranks. So Sven Bender, centre half, Germany internationals, played 35 games this season. He went off half an hour in, was helped off half an hour into their game at the weekend. Lars Bender, I think the captain, he's a doubt.
He's a right back, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's quite versatile, though. He can also play midfield.
He plays the right back.
Then there's another winger, I think, who did his shoulder.
Striker, Kevin Volland.
Oh no, Kevin Volland. Kevin Volland did his ankle ligaments.
He's a top scorer.
He's out for 3 months. Attacking midfielder.
Miri or something like that. Yeah. He's played at 30 games for them or something as well.
So that's 4 guys potentially who could be in the starting 11. Which if you made that change in key positions to Rangers in terms of their Europa League campaign, if you take out,
that might happen though, because Tavernier's out. Jack's out, Defoe's out. I don't think Defoe would have played anyway. Manel's will play, but Jack and Tavernier would definitely be playing if they were fit. So they're a doubt. So whilst Leverkusen have got injury kind of issues, so do we. But they're not affecting them that much, considering they just absolutely wiped the floor.
Yes.
With Eintracht Frankfurt, like you said, in the last 16 as well. So,
but I think we'd rather. They had a couple of guys out than they didn't.
It's definitely an advantage for us, especially the captain. You know what I mean? But our captain might be out.
So well, basically, going into the game a lot, there's been sort of talk about multiple players, but Kai Havertz is the big one.
Yeah, main boy.
When Braga came, they had Trincao, who has his 500 million buyout clause, and he looked a class act, but he's played a lot less senior football than Havertz has. He's 20. He's played over 100 Bundesliga games, and he's 20. And I think at the weekend he went to 30 Bundesliga goals. He's the youngest player ever to do that. He's now got 50 direct goal contributions. He's got 20 assists as well. So I think he's going to be the danger man.
It'd be good to see him though. You know what I mean? It's like one of the best things about European football is that you get to see these players as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Leverkusen do beat us and he's a centre of, at least we've seen Kai Havertz before he goes to
I don't think that'll be the sentiment on Thursday night.
Definitely won't be in the immediate aftermath. Anyway.
But there is something to be said.
Quality players are coming on Thursday night. You know what I mean? I think international players are like the world champions, Germany, aren't they? For France, sorry, that's
a big shout.
But so I mean they're taking quality players to Ibrox, so it's a big ask for us. But I mean anything can happen, and we've shown in Europe that we can perform maybe above our station. So I remain quietly optimistic.
Well, that sort of brings the buzz, doesn't it? The whole concept of, when you're turning up, obviously there's disappointment in the Wednesday game against Hamilton, but when you're turning up, what type of game you're going to watch. When you go and see Rangers Hamilton, it's a team where, there's expectancy for Rangers to score loads of goals against a team who are clearly, supposedly technically inferior to them. That's not how it panned out during the week. But with Bayer Leverkusen coming, it's that idea, two teams going toe-to-toe, trying to show their quality. You've guys like your Barisiches who are clearly in the shop window ahead of summer, all the chat about him. He's going to want to stand up, and some of these Marshall, some of these attacking players that they have, and really show their quality. Do you see many changes to the Rangers team? Do you see?
Yeah, I think the team picks itself. Let's assume that everybody's fit, like Jack and Tavernier make it. I think that you would see it would be McGregor. The centre backs is an interesting one. Maybe Goldson and Edmondson or Katic. I don't know if he'll recall Katic. Maybe Edmondson again, but I don't know. Who do you think, Edmondson or Katic?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because if you just look, if you just stopped games after the Braga match, you'd have absolutely no doubt that Edmondson plays.
Since then it's been unconvincing.
Yeah, you would say that in times in the past, Katic has come out. It was a big risk to bring Edmondson into the team for that Braga game because he had no previous in European football. Since the competition proper began. But it's also a risk then to go for, just bring Katic out of the blue. I think he's likely to be short in confidence.
I think give Katic a chance to prove.
It's probably much for muchness.
To prove himself. He's got a point to prove now,
Yeah.
And Edmondson maybe a little bit too much pressure. You throw him into the Braga game, it's a one-off game, there's great buzz behind him, etc. Now that you're following him, over the last few games, and maybe there'll be a wee bit too much pressure if things go wrong. I think put Katic back in for me.
Okay.
I put Katic back in.
I'm going to go Edmondson just on that. I should have thought about that beforehand. This is not a considered decision, but I'm going to go Edmondson as well. Stick with some continuity after a convincing clean sheet at Ross County. So obviously got Barisic in there. In the midfield, what about... Do you have Kamara or do you have Aribo?
Before we move out midfield, see if Tavernier doesn't play, who do you play? Poster or Patterson?
Poster, 100%.
Poster, 100%.
You cannot be throwing that. Now, the thing is, I think Nathan Patterson has a big future. I think everyone can see that, and everyone...
He won't if he doesn't play him, though.
No, but the guy's 18, and I was at that UEFA Youth League game against Atletico, and Riquelme absolutely tortured him the whole game. And that's an 18-year-old who'd made one appearance for Atletico.
He'd be up against that Bailey Jamaican winger.
Who's rapid.
Yeah.
And so I
mean, Matt Poster's going to be up against him anyway.
I know, but at least he's got a bit of senior football under his belt. I think Patterson's great going forward, but I'm not joking, he was tortured by that guy in the Atletico Madrid game. And Murray said afterwards, he was like this, it's good for him because he's an excellent player and he's had a great season, but he's plenty to work on, and that shows that. So I think that's why, if he's not...
Maybe getting ahead of himself after playing for the first team and stuff.
Don't know, but
if
he's not getting on at Ross County, he's not playing against Leverkusen.
It'll be posted if it's not Tavernier. I think so, yeah.
And then in the midfield, that's probably the last real question.
It'll be Davis, Kamara and Jack, or maybe Davis, Kamara and Arfield.
So no Aribo? in the starting line?
I mean, I'd start Aribo, but I don't think it will because he took him off the bench against Braga, so I imagine it'd be much the same.
I stuck him in at left back.
Aye, but I mean, he was good.
Yeah, he was good.
So I mean, he originally came on in midfield, had to eventually move to left back. So I think that's like the midfield three that we usually play. You know, maybe if Jack doesn't make it, maybe put Arfield. I don't know. I think you play Kamara because he always starts him in big games.
Kamara, that's the thing. Kamara's the guy that gives that shield, doesn't he, to the back four? He was poor against Braga and then had to be subbed off.
He's been very, very poor.
I thought he looked a little bit sharper in the early stages of the Ross County game.
I did a good wee turn, wee pirouette thing.
Yeah, and you base it just on that. No, I think he did look. I think he did look a wee bit sharper. But cutting to the chase, then what's our predictions?
Morelos starts as well. Who'd you start up front? That's it.
Yeah,
before we go there. Morelos and Hadji and Ken. That's what it'll be Morelos, Hadji and Ken.
Like Camberry's obviously, he's done a good job and stuff, but I don't really want to sit and watch him being offside 12 times in the first half. Yeah. So Morelos starts.
I'd be Morelos.
So predictions?
I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say 2-0 to Rangers.
2-0 clean sheet.
I think
huge.
A monumental defensive performance from Connor Goldson and either George Edmondson or Nicola Katic.
And another. Okay, I'm going to go 2-1. I think they will score, but also don't fancy us to get beat at Ibrox. I think 2-1 and see what happens over there.
Okay, send it on.
Have enough.